History is one thing that has both faces, white and black. The side filled with good things becomes famous, and everyone knows about it. But the darker side gets buried and no one talks about it or remembers who they were. Those stories completely vanished from history. In today's video, we'll uncover some forgotten freaks from the past. You probably don't know them, but don't worry. By the end of this video, you'll be one of the few who know about them. Number 15. Alex Linton. Crowds once gasped when Alex Linton stepped on stage, a man who turned danger into precision. He wasn't a loud performer, just eerily calm before sliding metal blades down his throat as if it were a routine breath. Born in 1896, he grew up fascinated by risk and joined traveling carnivals across the Midwest in his early 20s. Unlike most sword swallowers, Alex added blindfolds, fire, and long steel rods, pushing every limit known to sideshow acts. His name rarely appeared on posters, overshadowed by louder attractions, yet he performed for nearly 2 decades without serious injury. Linton's calm defiance and control stunned audiences used to gimmicks and fakes. When the era of sideshows collapsed, he quietly faded from the tents, and history followed. No record of his final years remains, only whispers among collectors who claim his act was unmatched. His legacy lives only in fading carnival stories. Number 14. Bill Unks, the Baron. They called him the Baron, a name that sounded noble but came from blood, not royalty. Bill Unks built his fame on pain, driving sharp skewers, needles, and nails through his arms, cheeks, and even his neck, all without flinching. Born in 1904, he joined the sideshow scene as a young man when audiences demanded shock more than skill. Unlike illusionists, Bill's act was real. He studied anatomy to avoid vital points and turned endurance into performance art. Spectators fainted, doctors questioned his sanity, and yet he kept performing through the 1940s. His confidence on stage made him both fascinating and unsettling to watch. But when freak shows began losing ground to television, Unks disappeared. No one knows how his story ended, though a few photos survive, showing a man smiling through pain, proud of the scars he earned entertaining a world that later forgot his name. Number 13. Margaret Ann Robinson. Fairgrounds once lit up when Margaret Ann Robinson appeared, standing barely over 20 inches tall, yet commanding more attention than anyone twice her height. Born in 1910 in Virginia, she was discovered by a traveling show at just 6 years old. Promoters called her the world's smallest woman, a title she carried with grace rather than vanity. Her delicate frame made even ordinary props look enormous. A teacup could swallow her hand, and a chair seemed a throne. Crowds adored her gentle humor and bright voice echoing from the stage. During the 1920s and 30s, she performed across America, often alongside miniature ponies or dollhouse sets built for her acts. But when sideshows began fading, Margaret disappeared from public record entirely. Some say she retired quietly. Others claim she died on tour. What remains certain is that her story, once seen by thousands, vanished almost as quickly as applause fades. Number 12. Melvin Burkhart. Melvin Burkhart didn't rely on tricks. He turned his own body into the act. Known as the anatomical wonder, he could hammer nails straight into his nose, bend his torso at impossible angles, and control individual muscles like a machine. Born in 1907 in Pittsburgh, he started as a steel worker before joining the carnival circuit in the 1930s. Melvin wasn't born with any rare condition. He built his reputation through anatomical study and iron discipline. His human blockhead routine, often copied but never matched, became a sideshow staple. Off-stage, he helped other performers develop safe techniques for dangerous stunts. Burkhart performed for decades, from classic circuses to Ripley's Believe It or Not museums. Even as freak shows declined, he remained active, touring well into his 70s. He eventually retired quietly in Florida, having defined the art of endurance and precision that still influences modern stunt performers today. Number 11. Ronnie and Donnie Gallion. Spectators first saw Ronnie and Donnie Gallion in the late 1950s. Two brothers joined from chest to pelvis, sharing vital organs yet living as individuals. Born on October 28, 1951, in Dayton, Ohio, they were immediately labeled medical marvels. Their parents, overwhelmed by attention and hospital bills, accepted show contracts to support the family. For decades, the twins toured carnivals and sideshows across America and Latin America, often promoted as the human Siamese twins. Unlike most acts, they spoke openly with audiences, showing cooperation rather than spectacle. When the sideshow era faded, the brothers retired to private life, relying on custom-built equipment to move and live independently. They later became local celebrities in Ohio, appearing in documentaries that highlighted their rare condition and mutual resilience. Ronnie and Donnie passed away together in 2020 at age 68, having lived longer than any conjoined twins in recorded history. Number 10. Sylvia Portis. Posters once showed Sylvia Portis draped in silk, her enlarged limbs covered just enough to spark curiosity. Behind those images was a woman living with elephantiasis, a rare condition that caused severe swelling in her legs and arms. Born in 1918 in Alabama, she joined traveling carnivals during the 1930s after doctors offered little treatment and few options. Sideshows gave her income and a strange kind of acceptance, even if it came with stares. Sylvia was promoted as the Elephant Girl, often appearing beside animal acts to emphasize her condition. Reports describe her as calm and sharp-witted, never engaging with pity. When freak shows declined in the 1950s, her trail disappeared completely from public record. No museum claims her legacy, and no family line traces her later years. What remains are a few faded photos, evidence of a performer who faced the crowd, earned her living, and quietly stepped away. Number 9. Mignon, Ruth Berry. Every movement she made drew silence from the crowd. Mignon, born Ruth Berry in 1892 in Georgia, entered the world without fully developed arms or legs due to phocomelia. While many would have been hidden away, she was introduced to the sideshow circuit as a teenager and quickly became known for her precision and patience. Audiences watched as she painted, wrote, and even ate using only her shoulders, chin, and mouth, tasks she performed with quiet control rather than theatrics. Her posters called her the human torso, but she never relied on sympathy. During the 1920s, she toured alongside other performers with limb deformities, including Prince Randian. By the early 1930s, her name stopped appearing on carnival rosters, and her later life remains undocumented. What's known is that she turned what others viewed as a limitation into a skill, performing her craft with the same steadiness that made the crowd watch in awe. Number 8. Ella Harper. Most performers relied on props. Ella Harper didn't need any. Her body alone challenged everything people thought they knew. Born in 1873 in Tennessee, her legs bent backward from a rare joint disorder, making her movement resemble that of an animal. Instead of hiding, she took control of it. By her early teens, she was part of W.H. Harris's traveling circus, paired with a camel for contrast, a marketing trick that gave her the nickname, the Camel Girl. She earned impressive pay and curious headlines wherever she performed. Unlike others who spent their lives in the tent circuit, Ella used her brief fame to step out of it entirely. She retired young, choosing to live quietly beyond the public eye. After a few years, her name vanished from show lists and newspapers alike, leaving behind only a few surviving photographs of a performer who refused to be defined by her act. Number 7. Isaac W. Sprague. Most sideshow acts relied on spectacle, but Isaac Sprague's presence alone unsettled entire crowds. Born in 1841 in Massachusetts, his body began shrinking in his late teens. Muscle vanished, fat disappeared, and doctors found no explanation. By his 20s, he weighed less than 45 kilograms, earning the title The Living Skeleton. P.T. Barnum quickly brought him into his museum, where visitors paid to see the man who looked half alive. He performed calmly, never playing the victim or exaggerating his condition, just existing in a form that defied logic. Beyond the tent, he lived a modest life, working and raising children while his body continued wasting away. In 1887, he died quietly, never wealthy, never forgotten by those who saw him in person. His condition still puzzles historians, one of the earliest recorded cases of severe progressive muscle atrophy during the 19th century circus era. Number 6. Alice Doherty. Audiences first thought it was a costume until she smiled. Alice Doherty, born in 1887 in Minneapolis, was covered head to toe in long, silky blonde hair caused by hypertrichosis lanuginosa, a condition so rare that doctors documented only a handful of cases worldwide. Her parents introduced her to the public when she was 2, promoting her as the Minnesota Woolly Girl. By the 1890s, she was touring small fairs and storefront exhibitions across the Midwest, her thick facial hair and soft manner drawing curiosity rather than fear. Alice often sat quietly, knitting or chatting with visitors while her parents handled the business. She never joined the large circuses, preferring the smaller venues where she could control her schedule. By 1915, she retired and returned to private life in Dallas, Texas. When she passed away in 1933, her name had already faded from show posters, a performer remembered mostly by rumor. Number 5. Minnie Woolsey. Among the loud music and laughter of the sideshow, one performer seemed to exist in her own world. Minnie Woolsey, born around 1880 in Georgia, lived with microcephaly, a condition that gave her a small head and distinctive facial features. She joined the stage under the name Coo-Coo the Bird Girl, dressed in feathers, dancing with quick, jerky movements that both fascinated and unsettled audiences. Her most famous appearance came in 1932, when she was cast in the cult film Freaks, where she fluttered across the screen in a feathery costume, shouting, "Coo-Coo!" Her real life, though, was never well documented. She performed through the 1930s, likely in traveling carnivals, before disappearing from public record entirely. No official record of her death exists, leaving her story open-ended. What's certain is that Minnie's act stood out even among the strangest stages of her time, memorable, eerie, and completely her own. Number 4. Crau Farini. When showman George the Great Farini brought a young girl from Laos to London in 1885, he claimed she was the missing link between humans and apes. Her name was Crau Farini. Born in 1876 near Bangkok, she had hypertrichosis, which covered her body and face in fine dark hair. Audiences filled lecture halls and exhibition rooms to see her, believing she was proof of Darwin's theory of evolution. Crau spoke several languages, moved with confidence, and learned to entertain the crowds without mockery. Unlike many exploited performers, she built a long career under her own control, appearing across Europe and the U.S. well into adulthood. Though she lived within the sideshow world, she was known for her intelligence and self-awareness. Crau eventually settled in Brooklyn, where she died in 1926. Number 3. Peter Robinson. Circus posters once advertised him as the human skeleton, a title that barely exaggerated reality. Peter Robinson, born in 1871 in England, developed a wasting disorder that stripped away nearly all body fat and muscle, leaving him under 60 pounds. His tall frame and sunken features made him a sensation in European sideshows during the 1890s. When he moved to the United States, managers paired him with performers of extreme size to heighten spectacle. He was known for his polite manner and quiet voice, often greeting guests himself before stepping on stage. By the early 1900s, as new acts replaced the human oddities, Peter retired from touring and vanished from show listings. Archival posters and a few grainy photos are all that confirm his career. A man who once drew lines of spectators by simply standing still. Number 2. Jane Barnell. Jane Barnell spent most of her life trying to escape the very fame that fed her. Born in 1871 in Wilmington, North Carolina, she began growing facial hair as a child. Her mother, seeking profit, sold her to a traveling circus when Jane was just 4. Years later, she was reunited with her family and lived quietly until adulthood, when she chose to return to performing, this time on her own terms. Under the name Lady Olga, she became one of the most recognizable bearded women in early 20th century circuses, touring with Ringling Brothers and later appearing in the 1932 film Freaks. Offstage, she was practical and private, rarely giving interviews and never indulging in myth-making. By the 1940s, she retired from performing and settled in New York. Her last confirmed public appearance was at a museum exhibit, standing beside her own poster, calm and collected. Number 1. Prince Randian, the Human Caterpillar. Prince Randian was one of the most skilled performers ever to appear in a circus sideshow. Born in 1871 in British Guiana, he was born without arms or legs, a condition known as tetra amelia syndrome. Despite that, he lived with remarkable independence, dressing himself, painting, shaving, and even writing using only his lips and shoulders. He began performing in the United States in the 1880s under P.T. Barnum, who promoted him as the Human Caterpillar. Audiences watched in disbelief as Randian rolled a cigarette, lit it with a match, and smoked it hands-free. He spoke several languages and was known for his wit and intelligence, often chatting with visitors before his act. Randian continued performing until his death in 1934, reportedly after a show in New York. His physical control and stage presence made him one of the last great authentic sideshow performers from the early freak exhibition era. The circus once celebrated the extraordinary, but time buried many of these lives beneath dust and silence. Each performer you've seen today carried a story far stranger than fiction, hidden for decades until now. These weren't monsters or myths. They were people who turned survival into spectacle. If you've watched this far, you're one of the few keeping their memory alive. Don't let their names vanish again. Hit like, share this video, and subscribe for more untold stories from the forgotten side of history. Thanks for watching.